Humanity ends with the arrival of the Dead Space remake launch. Dead Space is a science fiction/horror media franchise created by Glen Schofield and Michael Condrey, developed by Visceral Games, and published and owned by Electronic Arts. The franchise's chronology is not presented in a linear format. Each installment in the Dead Space franchise is a continuation or addition to a continuing storyline, with sections of the storyline presented in prequels or sequels, sometimes presented in other media from the originating video game series, which includes 2 films and several comic books and novels. Primarily set in a 26th-century science fiction universe featuring environments, weapons, and characters typical of the genre, the Dead Space franchise centers on a series of video games beginning with the release of the first Dead Space, which follows an engineer named Isaac Clarke and the mutated undead horrors that surround him. A central theme in the games is the fictional cult religion Unitology and its fanatical followers, who believe that information about an alien artifact called the Marker is being suppressed by the Earth's government. Their primary goal is to use this marker to bring about the so-called convergence or unification, with the markers being the source of the undead monsters encountered by the series' protagonists. The Dead Space video game series has been positively received. The first game in particular won a number of industry awards for the varied elements of its gameplay and development, and is often regarded as one of the best video games of all time by critics. From a commercial perspective, EA considered the video game series as a whole to have underperformed. After the financial disappointment of 2013's Dead Space 3, no further media for the franchise was made for the remainder of the 2010s. A remake of the first game is currently in development by Motive Studio and set for release in 2023. The game retains the same basic plot as the original. Set in the 26th century, the story follows engineer Isaac Clarke, a crewman on a repair vessel assigned to the USG Ishimura, a massive planetary mining ship that has gone silent. While investigating a distress call sent by the ship's medical officer Nicole Brennan, Isaac's girlfriend, the vessel's crew is attacked by mutated human corpses. Isaac is forced to fend for himself as he tries to save his surviving crewmates and learn the truth behind the loss of Ishimura. Games journalist Jeff Grubb of GamesBeat reported that a remake of Dead Space was in development at Motive on July 1, 2021. He speculated that the success of EA's single-player Star Wars Jedi, Fallen Order, 2019, and Capcom's remakes of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 were instrumental in the publisher's decision to greenlight the Dead Space remake. The game is being developed using EA's proprietary Frostbite engine, which Motive Studios previously used to develop Star Wars, Squadrons and the single-player campaign of Star Wars Battlefront 2. The game will retain the same story and structure as the original but feature redesigned assets, character models, and environments. The developers intend to take advantage of SSDs on the 9th generation of consoles to have the game be presented as an uninterrupted sequence shot, absent of loading screens. Content that was removed from the original game due to technical constraints may also be added. The game will not feature any microtransactions, in contrast to Dead Space 3, where the addition of microtransactions resulted in a negative reception. The art director for the game, Mike Yazajan, previously worked as art director at EA Montreal, assisting Visceral Games in developing Dead Space 2. The original Dead Space was noted for its audio design, and the team are intended to stay true to the original atmosphere while improving and modifying where necessary. The original musical score by Jason Graves was retained, with new musical elements and cues composed by Trevor Gureckis. Gunnar Wright will be reprising his role as Isaac Clarke, who will be fully voiced, like his appearances in Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3. Tanya Clark is also reprising her role as Nicole Brennan from Dead Space 2. The other cast members include Anthony Alabi as Zach Hammond, Bridget Cali Canales as Kendra Daniels, and Farron Tahir as Chalice Mercer.